Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to offer that,
And
but
sorry
I
about
don't want
that.
anyone to feel
okay.
uncomfortable.
Sorry
That's
about
good.
that.
That's okay.
So I want you to think about yourself as where are you today? So I want, for you as a group, what is one celebration about your church that you've seen in the last 4 months? So since Easter and till now, you can include Easter. One celebration.
Mm.
And just
I got
shout.
this one.
Okay.
I will say the covered dishes that we're having, the potluck,
Yes.
potluck Wednesday.
Potluck Wednesday. Okay, so that's a wonderful celebration. What's another
And
celebration?
out of that celebration, I'll mention we have Fred Sackar coming to our Sunday worship at 10:30, and this past Sunday he just read scripture in his dialect in Ghana. So he read from the dialect of Ga in Ghana. So that was a real awesome thing, a highlight, and certainly diversity like we have not seen in a while, which is awesome.
And is he a new member, a new attendee?
A new attendee, yeah. Yeah, and he lives and works at Bristol Glen as an aide. So, and he found out about our services because he found out through a colleague who happens to go to Treasures of Hope about our potluck suppers, and so he showed up one day and has been coming ever since.
Super. So that actually, your potluck supper has already, in this short time, given you one active participant. Something else that you celebrate.
Oh, we started back up with our fellowship hour.
Yes.
Was that
good.
Did that
Yes.
that might have happened Easter
That happened
Yeah.
first. That was Easter Sunday. Yep.
Sunday? Yeah.
That's great. That's really good.
Yep. Figured resurrection. Why not fellowship, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Yes.
resurrect fellowship.
And is your fellowship between your two services?
No, unfortunately, right now it isn't. With that said, right now in the summertime, and really, it has. We did have some snacks and stuff in there for people who are attending the 9 o'clock service, but right now, not many, if any, are attending the 9 o'clock service. As a result of it being summertime. So once Sunday school starts back up, that will start filling back up again.
So, maybe that's a way to get some 9 o'clock people conversation with some 11 o'clock people if you did some fellowship in between.
Yep.
Or maybe it's a time we look at our schedule and our worship and think out of the box and maybe create something new.
Right. Maybe that is the opportunity to create something new. Absolutely. I mean, and you know what, Linda, I'm gonna invite you to bring me back to the something new piece in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So anybody else, something you want to celebrate that happened in the last couple months?
I'm keeping my mouth quiet, but I have a couple things more if nobody else brings anything up.
Well, my granddaughter's coming to church. I think that's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And her son.
yeah, they're delightful people.
Thanks.
New regular attendee. Yeah.
Yeah. And had they stopped attending or just they didn't come at all?
They didn't come at all, and now they started to.
That's awesome. That is really wonderful. That's great.
And
So
Susie
Patrick, yeah.
coming. That's another one. Susie Cox has started coming. And again,
she started coming back. Yep.
she comes from Treasures, got our church through Treasures.
So you have a couple new people coming. So that's really exciting. So that's why I want you to think about, we were a group of 20 and now we're a group of 24. You
Mhm.
know, that's a big deal because you've just named to me 4 people who have just started coming.
And there's 2 more that started coming around Easter time, Tim and Amy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 6. So when you think about it, you know, you've almost added a third more people. If
And
you-
we also have Erin, who just started coming this past Sunday and is planning on coming. She's special needs, but she lives right around the corner from me, and she sought us out. So she's coming now as well.
Right. So you know how like it's so easy to think about, oh, at one point we had 300 people in the rolls, but that was so long ago. Let's just let that go. Those walls have tumbled down. But to rebuild, I want you to think about and actually celebrate the fact that right now you've talked about 7 new people coming. And so if your average worship attendance was in person was in the 20s for your service, that's, you know, 1/3 more people are coming. So that's pretty exciting.
And we also started a Theology on Tap ministry that was the first one was very successful, and I've been back to Angry Eric since. And I know one of the younger tasting room attendants had been talking to some of the other coworkers about how awesome it was, and other people had been talking about it. Somebody said they were intending to come and might come to another one, so that has a lot of potential behind it. And also, Tim, speaking of Tim and Amy, Tim is going to, on starting the first Thursday of September, he's starting a Hypnosis for Health and Wellness group, and it's free of charge as a ministry.
So great. So a new small group leader already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think there are a lot of really good things to celebrate in the midst of, you know, so, you know, we knew that you were going to have problems with the money. That was, you know, a reality. We knew when you, it couldn't go part-time, that money was going to be a challenge. So, you know, I think that while it doesn't give you a legal pass, you know, for my work, I feel like we could dwell on that for a really long time, but it wouldn't make your congregation any healthier. What I'd like to do is figure out what's going to make your congregation as healthy as possible so that, you know, if the money thing can be fixed by moving part-time, that's the only thing that, you know, that everything else is in place for a really good, strong ministry to rebuild. And, you know, sometimes churches just need that little respite in worry. You know, I think I told you about, you know, I was one of my churches, they went part-time in 2020. And I think they had about, before COVID, they had about maybe 50 people in worship, and now they have like 100 in worship. So
How did they do it?
you know, just a lot of, you know, good work and opportunities, kind of like what you guys are doing with the meal on Wednesday and the small groups and just kind of getting when things started to get a little exciting, then some of the people who had stopped coming, a couple of them, not a big group, did start coming back. So, but I mean, it took, you know, it's a lot of work, and their laity are, you know, have had to remain invested even in the midst of feeling discouraged. They also had to make some changes, because you have to make changes when you do. They had to move part-time they have a plan to move back to full-time, but they moved part-time for a few years. So, you know, I think that that's some of the things. So the one thing that's on your goal list is this one board. So I also know you've moved forward with meeting with Steve Bechtold to go over things with the one board. And so I think you just have a couple more official steps to finalize that. So does everyone feel good and confident about the one board model?
So we're learning it.
We're and Steve did send us samples so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is nice. So I'm going to be sharing that with those who are on that team shortly.
Right. And I know that it feels like a big change at first, but the churches that have gone through it, they've just found that it, first of all, they have healthier conversation because it's not being relayed from one committee unofficially to the next. But also part of the idea of going with the simplified board is that you spend at least 1/3 of your every business meeting, so your ad board meeting or your leadership meeting, whatever you're going to call it, visioning, looking at the future, talking about how to get new people. It isn't always about problem solving, and it isn't always about just people reporting. The idea is that you read the reports before you get to the meeting. The idea is that you empower the people that you have voted into positions. So you empower the people to do the work that they're going to do and trust them, but then spend your time saying, okay, what is the next good thing that we can do to bring people into our church? So, Fred shared a little bit before we got on about his, athletic adventures. And so, I bet that there would be people that would be interested in hearing about how do you remain fit and making first and second places after retirement. So how do you, dream and vision about, doing some exciting things to bring people into your community. So that's another advantage with the one board model. So when I looked at your report, I think this is it here. The expectation is that you will have it approved by charge conference. Do you think you're on track for that?
Charge conference isn't till November 4th, so I think we are. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll be on track to be able to start the one board model in January of 2024.
And the good news is, thanks to Beulah's efforts in going to learn about the one board model in the past, and the necessity of COVID, we kind of have been working in a somewhat hybrid model. So for us, it's just going to be a matter of kind of reimagining what we look like and talk like as this group, as opposed to having to start from scratch, at least.
Yeah, and that's really good because you tried it out. And I think that you'll have a lot more success because you've tried it out already. So that's a really good first point. So then your next point that you talked about was one we already talked about, is the fact that you were going to do the theology on tap. And so I think you already gave a report on that. And so this is a once a month thing. And I think that, and Pastor, do you feel like you have support when it comes to this? What do you feel like you need from the congregation to move this forward?
All I need from the congregation is for people from the congregation to keep coming and being present. We had Tim and Amy there, Ann and Scott were there. I feel like I'm missing somebody else, but Ann and Scott, and Tim was there. Amy wasn't there, I should say, but Amy will be at the next one, I believe. And there may have been some other people there that I'm missing, but we did have people from our congregation, and then we had people from the Angry Earth community who came to it. They all so far are taken by churches, either ours or others. But with that said, there were people within earshot of us. I heard feedback from people sitting at the bar who are listening in. Like I said, the last couple of weeks, I've heard feedback from the owners and from the tasting room attendants. So I do think I've got support as long as people keep coming to it. It's once a month, and it's really a lot of fun. It lasts an hour. And
Now, did
yeah,
you put
so
it on social media besides churches and your personal social media?
sure, I sure did. Yep.
Great. So you
Put
know
it
what?
on my personal. Yep.
Because
And I paid to promote it as well. I boosted it for like $50.
right. And you know, if your Newton has a, you know, a page and they let you post stuff, that would be a great place to put it too, because it creates an image of the church. So somebody who never goes to it just goes, oh, that's pretty creative.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the church I want to try out. So
And I shared it there too, because I since I've been here at the church, I've been connected and actually have access to post things on the Sussex County Merchants
yes,
page.
great.
So I just post it there as if I'm not me, but just saying, hey, if you're interested, look what this church is doing, and you know,
Yeah,
and
that's
When
great.
is the next one?
it's going to be the first Thursday of September, which is September 7th.
7th, okay,
And that's at 6 p.m.
great.
First Thursday. So how can Tim won't be able to?
No, Tim's
Tim-
doing the first Tuesday, not the first Thursday.
Oh,
I may have said Thursday. If I did, I apologize.
It's Tuesday? Or
Yeah,
Se-
it's no. The Theology on Tap is Thursday. Tim is doing something on Tuesday as well.
Oh, okay.
The hypnosis thing.
So the next thing is your fall festival. So how's the
Mhm.
planning for that going?
yeah. When was I supposed to fill out the paperwork?
Well, we're supposed to. It was starting July 17th, but the due date.
I got to register by September 1st. Okay,
Right.
good. And do I go to where do I go to register this?
It would be the town hall municipal building, I'd imagine.
I can go online and do it?
I'm pretty sure you probably can go online and do it, or call them and they'll point you in the right direction, I'm sure.
Okay. I've been
So-
meaning to. It's on the top 10 of my things, and things just keep, piling up and up and up.
I know that. I know how that goes.
I did
So-
contact the lady who does the weekend bag program, and she's
Okay.
ecstatic that we're doing it. She's getting flyers, and she's going to join us in town. So I haven't totally forgot about it.
No, that's
Thank you.
excellent. No,
Yeah,
you
so that
took
was
care
a
of piece
super
of it.
important point of the whole thing. So great.
Yep. No, you took care of a piece of it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
so and you at least have about 6 weeks till the date of it. So
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, as
So-
long as we register before we can't,
Yeah,
we're good.
that's the
Yeah.
important thing. How much of a space do you think we need? Because I did look and it said like a 9x12 or a 6, and I don't know, are we nonprofit, so we don't pay for it?
We're nonprofit and we have a 501c3. Yes.
Okay, we have a 5, what is it called?
501c3.
Okay,
And
and they have one too.
we have a tax exemption certificate we can show them. Yep.
Okay,
So let me know whatever documents they need and I can get you copies of those, Linda.
okay,
And as far as the space we need, just a table for
Yeah.
two or three
I was
people.
kind of hoping to play a game with the kids, but even
Yeah.
with a card table or so, we can
Yeah.
manage.
We can make that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know what, I'll let you determine the space we need, and then we will get volunteers to be there and at the church.
Well, didn't one person sign, Melissa Hart, didn't she volunteer?
Melissa Hart said she would be a part of it.
Sure.
Yeah, so she's
Yeah,
on board. Yep.
So I'm hoping she's still with it.
So I think you got that
Yeah.
goal. You know, it's moving forward.
Mhm.
And so the last goal was the membership roles.
Yeah.
So so just share a little bit with me. So as far as the membership roles are concerned, do you have electronically names and addresses of everyone?
We do.
Okay.
Do they really work? Some of them do and some of them don't.
Right. So what you can do is create a first letter and decide, you know, anyone you haven't seen in a year.
Mhm.
And for you, if you feel like it's more comfortable, you might say anyone you haven't seen since COVID. Maybe
Okay.
maybe that's the comfort place to start off. Since you have 300, you know, what was your attendance before COVID? About 110?
I would say we had somewhere like 60, 65, 70, somewhere in there at the 10:30. And we had maybe 20 on average at the or 15 to 20 on average at the early service.
Okay, so I think
And
that
that's and we were, I mean, in that number also, I believe people who attended both were probably both being counted, but that's a minimal number, really.
right, but
So-
there's also people who don't come every week.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So
Mhm.
therefore,
And
I
then
think-
too, there was transportation from Bristol Glen.
That has hurt us big time, and that's a thing I never mentioned, Gina, but thank you, Linda. One of our biggest issues right now is that Bristol Glen, you know, when you come in, they tell you about how they're close to different churches and they'll give you transportation to churches and this and that. But since COVID, they have not been staffing
did come
people
back
to
on.
drive the buses. They had one, and he was a devout Christian and didn't want to work every Sunday, which I can understand. And so they have not been able to, or haven't tried, or I don't know what the story is down there, but they have not been bringing people from Bristol Glen up, which we have now maybe one person who consistently comes.
so
And a
it
lot of those
great
people
for
might
you to
not
have
come
a
anyway because
conversation
of
with-
COVID.
Is it possible for you to go and have a conversation with them?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, and that hasn't changed them.
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
they're really charging them a lot for the transportation too, which is another big issue too.
Mm, mm.
How much would it cost
Well-
to take an Uber?
Probably, yeah.
There's
But,
another approach with Bristol Glen. You know, we have wonderful electronics with the YouTube and everything like that. Maybe we could get them to link into our YouTube through
Actually,
their computer system.
They are, and they do.
But it's always nicer in church.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do. That does stream on their in network television, the YouTube channel stream.
So I went to a church a couple weeks ago, and what they do is they have a couple members in a nursing home, and so 2 people every Sunday go to the nursing home and watch the service with them. And
Mm,
so therefore it feels like church, and it's
Church.
different people every week, but it feels like church.
we
But
could,
it actually then really keeps people better connected.
right.
So
And truthfully, we
yeah.
would count people at both places. So even though it would look like we're a few people short in one place, there were
right,
actually
you could count it,
short
you could
them.
count it in person then, rather
Yep.
because it would be it would be an interactive, not just a click.
Not
So
just a
you could
click.
count. It would be almost like having a second
We
location.
need a missionary to Bristol Glen on Sunday.
Yes,
That is
you need a
correct.
missionary. Right.
A missionary or 3, right?
Um,
Right.
And, you know, sometimes, you know, a family might choose to do it. It might, you know, if you just do a sign up sheet, different person does it every week. But then you don't have the liability of taking people in your cars or anything like that. And yet you still have the fellowship that you know, and you might even get people to come sit because that sometimes people just want company.
I can certainly, if we are able to as a group, and we decide to do this and we have people that are going to do it and be there, I can certainly reach out to Carl, their chaplain, and see if that's something he'd be okay with us doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be a good possibility.
Mhm.
Okay, so then okay, so then, you know, sticking with the membership piece. So let's say, rather than, you know, I think it would be very overwhelming to you all at this point, trying to tackle a list of, if you had 300 people on the rolls and take out, you know, even 100 to say contacting 200 people by phone or whatever, that's just a lot.
Mhm.
So why don't we agree to, if it works out, if you all feel like this is, you know, fair, to send a letter out to people, and if the letter comes back that, you know, they don't live there anymore or whatever, so it's returned by the post office, then you can put in the church bulletin, if anyone has more recent contact information for this person,
Mhm.
would you give it to us? So it would give you a starting point. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that might make the task seem less daunting?
Yes.
But we do send out a lot of stuff, and this is the time of year where we send out our finance stuff. So sending out one for membership and then another one or another two for finance, I don't know, you know.
Well,
I feel-
when you send out finance things, do you send them to every person on
I
that
thought you
membership
did.
list?
Yes,
Even
Yeah.
people who you haven't seen?
I think
It
so.
goes, yeah, it goes to all of our members. Yeah.
If we,
Oh,
because if
do you get
if we
anything
put-
back?
Yeah. If we put
Some
on our,
some of them give back, some don't. And-
you need to put return service requested on the envelope.
Okay,
If you put that on the envelope, the post office will make sure you get it back,
Mhm.
okay.
okay? Because sometimes they just dump them in the garbage if they,
Mm.
you know, if
So
they're
what-
not there anymore.
So rather than send out two, you could create a membership letter and put your finance information all together in the same packet.
Mhm. Yeah, sure we
Right.
could.
Right, and I mean, you could easily say, you know, we're going through, you know, our roles, we haven't heard from you. If we don't hear from you by such and such a date, you know, we'll put you on our first year list, blah, 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 blah. And then that's it, you know, you can wait and see what happens. But if we do hear from you, here's a phone number, here's an email, give people ways to be able to respond to you other than just by mail.
Mhm.
But I feel like you could do this. And then I think the burden of having all these people and feeling like they've abandoned you, you can start kind of letting that go. Does that feel
Mhm.
fair?
Mhm. It
Yeah.
does. Yep.
So Linda had said something about maybe we need to think about something new.
Mhm.
And I had, you know, talked to your pastor and I said, you know, the one thing we're not going to do anything about it today. And I just want to share this thought with you. But the one thing that I think you might need to consider is if you would go part-time in next July, then that would surely mean that you would need to go to one service. that it wouldn't be possible for a part-time pastor, especially if it was a full-time pastor who was serving a 2-point charge,
Yeah.
to be able to do 2 services. It just doesn't, it's just not.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense. Yes.
Right. So is it time to begin to think about, are there ways to blend your services?
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
I know that part of the issue is that you have people who come early because they like Sunday school. And so
We could always back up Sunday school.
that's a really important thing. And then you also have, you know, the different styles of music that you need to address. But I just think, you know, just begin to pray. The one thing about Nehemiah is like he prays, I think he prays for 40 days, but it might have even been longer than that before he starts doing anything with the wall. That there is just a time of prayer to say, you know, God, I'm just praying that you're going to give me direction as to how to do this. And if you read this story, it ends up that they build this wall in like a remarkable amount of time. That's something, you know, that was just totally unexpected. And I think that, you know, what the scripture is teaching us is that the foundation was based on prayer. And so I invite you to just begin to like pray for God to give you the vision of what is the next iteration of Newton United Methodist Church. What is it going to look like? You know, what is the vision that God has in store for you for this next season? And just, you know, at this point, you don't have to stress about it. We're not worried about any of the pros and the cons. We're just kind of just giving this to God as to, okay, what do we need to do to make the next step work?
Hey, can I just
Oh, absolutely.
let me just ask also that everything that we are talking about here, I would just ask that we keep to ourselves here as we discern this together. If we don't do that, then what we do is we cause confusion, fear, panic, and all sorts of negative things. So I just trust that each of you as leaders will, you know, be confidential about what we're talking about here.
Right, because this, you know, it might be that you just say, you know what, for our church, the best thing is to stay the way we are. And then that, you know, if that is what you're getting from God, well, then it'll work out fine. So I just, you know, yeah. So this is just the season of just pray. And you're not even specifically praying about, do you combine things or not? You're just praying about specifically, God, what is the next vision for our church? What does the church look like in this next season? And it might look at a few different ways and over time, who knows? But, you know, maybe the first step will be having like your second service at Bristol Glen. So, you know, who knows? That might be the first step. So just, you know, begin to think about and pray about what does God have in store for us? And, you know, build that foundation there. The second thing is, you know, I understand that, you know, being leaders for so long, and especially during COVID, can bring a lot of challenges. And I'm sure some of you are weary and, you know, you're just, you just think maybe it's time to throw in the towel. And so I hope that in this season, you find ways to make sure that you find one thing that you do that brings you joy. So, you know, if singing on Sunday morning brings you joy, then make sure you get there to sing on Sunday morning. If serving dinner at the potluck or making soup for the potluck or whatever brings you joy, do that. Whatever it might be, make sure you do something to bring you joy so that in this season that you don't get all tuckered out and tired, and that ministry actually and volunteerism drops, because this is the season where your church really needs your leadership. And so I thank you for your faithfulness. And, I hope that you're able to stick in there and continue to serve. So I hear that, the potluck supper at least is going to go on for another, is it a couple months or a couple weeks, or?
We're just gonna play it by ear. Yeah, we're gonna keep
Yep.
it, we're just gonna continue. Maybe January, it might peter out because of weather and, winter.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
maybe spring, we can build it back up again.
Right. So at least now it's not gonna, you've got a plan, and I think that's great, because I think that's I really applaud you stepping up and making a way for it to happen.
And I'll tell you what, because Linda and I had been talking, and Linda Ann and I, at different points, had been talking about, the need for more than just a few people to do it every single week. And Jenny, one Sunday, just got up, and hearing the need, got up and said, well, we can do this, and kind of contacted all of the Sunday school teachers anyway. And now we've got a crew of people that, like, it's one person or group per 5,
Two people. We're gonna
every
do
5
two
weeks.
people a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two people are
So-
gonna take a week, and this way it's not all on my shoulders.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. That's another
Yep.
celebration.
Right. And as it grows, then people hear about it in the community. People who aren't even members might want to jump in and take part in, doing some serving. And you might even get some from some restaurants, maybe a deli that would be willing to do sandwiches, or a pizza place that would be willing to do some pizzas or whatever.
Mhm.
It's not such a huge group that it would be a huge financial burden to someone.
Right.
Right.
That's ideas. I'll keep them. I will look into that.
Yeah, my son manages a restaurant, and he was saying that sometimes they have specials, and then it's like a chain. So when they stop running the specials, they have all these things that they just aren't going to sell anymore.
I'm
And
smiling because I know Nate, and you have to say hi to Nate for me.
I will.
Awesome.
Hey, Pastor Todd, have you posted anything on Facebook with the potluck, and have you done a Facebook thing for potluck at all?
I know I've posted about the potluck. I can certainly boost a post about a potluck, and certainly have no problem doing that.
I've tried to get it put in the journal, but my
Yes.
computers, no, it's my computers won't
Oh.
allow me. But I'm
Okay.
sure if they got the information, they would put it in. They do put it in.
No,
Township Journal is good.
I will say we have, truthfully, we have submitted it to them, and sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. It's not for a lack of submitting.
But
It is on my end at this point. I'd like to get it in there, but my
Understood. Yep.
computers won't email because I've got glitches on my one computer is a 7 when it should be a 12, I think now.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's why it's not doing me any good.
Gotcha.
right, but I think
And
there's
I've
Well,
asked-
thank you.
that would give you some food if you ask. So, or if they, so that might be an area to just check out.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, is there any other concerns you have that maybe, because I think this is a good meeting, I'll be able to share some really good things with your district superintendent, because I feel like you're really on track with all of these goals. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Mm.
I'm going to ask this. I wanted to keep this pretty much finance free, and especially since your finance person wasn't here tonight. But I just have one question. other than your shared giving and your billables, do you have any concerns about paying any of the rest of your bills? At least,
Always.
but I mean, do you think it's in danger?
At this point, I think if Shirley were here, she'd say we're making it, but we're barely making it. So I think that would be the way she'd put it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so as long as,
the money that we received for the, to reimburse or to pay for the, health insurance made a big difference. That helped a lot.
okay,
And
good.
and we're hoping to be able to then take what that offset and hopefully give as much as we can of that to shared ministries, for instance, where that would be very helpful. So
Right, and I think that what I've said to a couple of my congregations is, there's always December. So, you push through, but I want to make sure that you can pay your pastor and that you can also, meet the other bills like, electric and things like that.
Yep.
Because it's when you get behind with them, then it really becomes a challenge to catch up.
As I say, there's grace in the church. With everybody else, not so much. Yeah. Yep.
We did have a setback with our major renter, Norwest Cap. They decided to not rent room 1A, which is about 440 square foot, and it's about a $6,000 a year hit.
Okay.
But we did year over year get 5.6% increase, which helped offset part of that.
Okay,
Now we do have some additional renters that are coming in
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
that's good.
that
Yeah.
are very important. But
And to
it's a
speak to
challenge.
that, and that is a challenge, Fred. And to speak to the renters, one of those renters is a group that it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's a group that works with autistic adults. And so
Life with Joy.
yeah,
Life-
yes,
Life with
Life
Joy.
with Joy. And every time I go in for my office hours, they're in there, and I'm getting to know them. And what a wonder! And Erin, who showed up on Sunday, actually is a part of their group, evidently, or connected to their group. So she evidently told them that she came to church. So we heard about that from the group's leader, which was that's a really neat group. That's
It's a ministry.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
ministry, right? It
Right.
meets right in line with our church's mission and ministry. And
And
then the other group is
It's
this.
the Sussex County Youth Orchestra.
Right.
They're going to be in there on Saturday mornings for a few hours. And the good thing about that is with all of those kids come parents, some of which they'll probably have to wait around and may go down to Treasures.
Hey, that's good.
Mhm.
So maybe we can get two birds with one stone there.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
And
good. So it
because we're
sounds,
not renting room 1A, we do have that available if some group
Ever
wants
needed
to,
it.
wants to rent that on a
When does it,
periodic basis.
when is it empty?
Well, they're still in it for September, so they're going to be paying us the extra $400 or $500. And I wrote up the contract, so if they don't get out in October, they'll be able to pay us then. But they had a large funding cut, so they had to make some changes.
Mhm.
Excuse me, Fred, okay, so you're saying they've paid $500 extra through September, correct?
Yes, and I don't know if they get out by the end of September, they won't pay in October. But we have it set up where if they don't get out, then we'll get that extra money for October.
Okay, are they as nicely as I can put it, if they pay $500 a month for the year, that comes up to like the $5,000, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried, yeah, but she really wants to get out of there because she has to save money. But the lady I talked to.
please let me know when it's empty, because I'd like locks changed,
Yeah,
okay?
okay, and I think, we need to coordinate through the office where they're not using, they know, and when they're not using those two rooms.
I'm gonna have locks changed.
Yeah, one A and one B.
And Kathleen, Kathleen is, I think, I don't know if she talked to you, Fred. Kathleen is aware that that change is coming. So as long as
Yeah.
we make her know when it's in effect, she'll make sure that, you know, if they need to use a room that they're not paying for, that they rent it like everybody else.
But she leaves at 1, and there's 4 hours of unsupervised time.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be best, like you say, to change the locks.
But,
Okay.
okay, so it gives you an opportunity to think about who might be a good partner to put in there, in that room,
Mhm.
now that will have it available. But
Yes,
like
we
you said,
will.
At least you got some increased rentals, so therefore it won't be as hard a hit as you thought it was gonna be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, any other concerns or thoughts or anything you want me to go back and share with the district superintendent?
No, but are we going, I thought we were going to have our meeting too. Are we, Pastor Todd, going to talk about a few things with
We can.
trustees?
We
Okay.
can. So we can do it one of two ways.
I'll just
Kat,
make you
make me the host. Yeah.
and then you
and I
can
can
have it, because
send it.
I'm not gonna use this Zoom again tonight, so, and I'm
All
gonna
right.
go eat dinner, so.
Just wanted to.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yes, you
perfect.
can stay as long as you want. Well, let
All
me
right.
just pray with you for this season part.
Right.
Amazing God, I thank you. I thank you so much for each person on this call. I thank you for the ministry that this church does. I thank you for Pastor Todd. I thank you for their persistence and their faith and their dedication. And I ask you, Lord, to hear their prayers and bless their efforts. And that what they long to do is help more people to know your name. And so may that happen in the many ways that they offer themselves and their building to the people in their community. And so we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
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 Okay, I'm going to make you host.
Thank you, Gina. And I don't know, Gina, if the recording will still, I'm assuming will still go to you, right?
Yes, it will. And then I'll
Yeah.
send it right to you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so there, do you see that you're host now?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay, well, good night.
Good
night.
night. Thank you,
Thank you
Gina.
so
Thank you.
very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.